Okay, so here we are back for another league review. This is the 800 series, and once again we have LooseLazuli as the star of our show. She sent me the recording not too long ago, and I remember looking at it and going, "Wow, that's nuts! Let's include it." So here we are. So we talked about them a little bit last time. Our next, so her opponent is Zeromus. One shall fall, one shall stand, unless you draw. Okay, so Zeromus is 2, 7, and 1. Oh, maybe I did this in the wrong order. Well, whatever. So this is maybe the 700 series. I don't know. There's not a huge difference from what I can tell between the two skill levels, but maybe I'm wrong. So they've played 97 games. Good stuff, and they're still active. So I think this is a fog map. Yeah. Okay, so we have Eagle versus Drake, classic matchup, at least canonically. Um, and then on this map, actually, I'd say that, yeah, again, they seem fairly evenly matched. So like no big issues on the day zero matchup. Um, I mean, the reason Drake is maybe a little bit better than usual, we have the central ports, so like his battleships, if he chooses to build one, is going to be, yeah, it's going to be harder to hit with all the naval defense. So we'll probably look at that calculator. Um, and then, so otherwise, he's just kind of like a slightly different Olaf, weaker air, but it's not the worst thing in the world. And then I think technically his super stops like vehicles and such on forests a little bit faster than Olaf's does, but it's kind of like a detail. For the most part, Olaf's super CO power is better. Just like the movement debuffs are more important for the most part. Okay, so the map itself, it's fog. There's, yeah, the ports in the center where you can not only build a battleship, but you can move it around and be sneaky with it. So that's kind of nice. I haven't played this maybe ever, or at least certainly not in a very long time. Um, it looks like comm towers are not particularly um, snipeable. Uh, One thing to note is there are these two pipe seams here that you can open up. But no, I have played here. Yeah, because I remember trying to figure out which pipe seam to open. And the answer is I don't know. So yeah, it seems like a good game. We'll see what happens here. All right, so looks like some pretty normal things so far, which is what you like to see. Um, okay, Lazuli goes for the base immediately, so that's already an excellent improvement over last game. Okay, so Lazuli goes for immediate recon, which, depending on what it can do on the map, I think it's map dependent whether immediate recon is good or not. But sometimes if you sneak it out immediately, you can get off a free harassment, is what I'm told. I haven't done a lot of fog science in a while, but I'm just kind of going off of what other people tell me. Okay, immediate artillery. Um, I guess the idea is you want to break this pipe seam as soon as you can, so that your vehicles from this base get deployed to the center a lot faster. It does seem kind of passive to me, and then the other thing about it that the thing about opening with it, like again, I haven't worked it out. I don't know if this is great or not, but one disadvantage is that if your opponent is um like sort of keen on watching things carefully, they'll notice the pipe seam damage go down. So like they'll see how much it goes down by and say, okay, they opened or built. I mean, I guess it's this early, so you can figure out that Zeromus opened artillery, which means that your recon can actually kind of do whatever the hell it wants to for maybe one more turn than it could normally. So that's a risk. I think that in terms of like the opening sequence with immediate recon into very passive artillery, the like LooseLazuli has like a slight advantage in terms of like being able to chip infantry for free if they know that, and then but like Zeromus has the advantage of like when the pipes go down, they'll be able to stream tanks through here and sort of tank up the center a bit faster. Okay, double recon opener for Lazuli. I really only do double recon if I'm like really curious about what my opponent is doing. Like that's something that I did versus players that were like much rated much lower than me, and like if I suspected that they played very volatile games, going for like tricky stuff or like really off meta stuff, I would consider opening double recon, and then that way I can sort of see what's up, do a little bit of scouting. If I see no vehicles, then I get kind of worried. If I see no recons, I get kind of worried. Stuff like that. Okay, double base skip for a second artillery. That is a signature 700 move. I wouldn't recommend that. It's early in the game. You still want to keep up your numbers for like your unit count numbers. Like it's pretty early to be sacrificing unit count when there's all these uncaptured properties. I would probably prefer recon here. Does it cover 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8? No. 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so the recon actually doesn't cover these two captures. Um, Kind of makes you wonder if this artillery should have been first, and the artillery from here sits in the city. Sorry, it's not a fucking city. Sits in the forest, and then the second artillery, if you decide to build it, is the one. Yeah, maybe open artillery here, move it, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Move the artillery down here. Help maybe build a second artillery if you're feeling frisky, and then beat down the pipe once you've had a chance to like cover this opening. I don't know, just ideas. I mean, I still think that like opening tanker recon is a little bit less scary. Okay, 3 recons is getting a bit out of hand. Instead of this recon, I think maybe artillery would have been fine. Or safer tank, either's good. Okay, so now let's see. So actually, there's the first artillery shot. So Lazuli should notice, like, okay, there's an immediate, like, if Lazuli's like really, really paying attention, they'll notice, okay, immediate artillery shot on the pipe, like very fast. Recon sees all of this, and then is the question: do I decide to risk it and take a shot? And then, yeah, so let's see what Lazuli does. Okay, decides to like sit back and get more vision. Totally nothing wrong with that. Like the recon harass is not the most important part of the most important part of fog games. Typically, I find, like you can lose a bit of value to recon harass and then come back to have a perfectly normal game. So it's not the worst thing in the world. So Zeromus hasn't seen this recon yet. So this recon is like gathering intel. It's like, okay, I've seen tons of infantry come out and no vehicles. What's going on? I guess. Oh, they actually. Oh no. Okay, the Zulu should be able to figure it out now. They're in 3 turns. In 3 shots, the pipe steam went down. So I think it depends on how the pipe kill is displayed. But yeah, if Lazuli's really paying attention, I think it should be pretty clear that it's like double artillery. And if that's like if Lazuli scouts that at it, like is convinced that that's the case, then she should be able to just completely go to town, interrupt comm tower, interrupt infantry, and interrupt this guy. Like, I mean, I'm talking like a few hits, because I mean, even if the next vehicle were tank, the tank could be here or in the middle. So I don't know. Maybe not, but there's at least that option. Something to think about. Okay, and indeed, Lazuli decides to hit the comm tower infantry. Turns out to be an alright move because the tank is going straight south. And Lazuli is up like 4 recons. Oh, Lazuli is the next WYJ. Yeah. I don't know anybody who builds 4 recons and by the time they only have 2 tanks. I guess if you have that many recons, you can afford to um, throw 1 or 2 away to delay caps just to get more value out of them. Previously, we saw another base skip from Zeromus. So now, I mean, these things add up, and we can see here it's the top of Lazuli's turn, and Zeromus has 19 units. Yeah, Zeromus has 19 units, and Lazuli is 21. And it should be, I mean, like, if Zeromus was supposed to have 19 units, Lazuli should have like 3 fewer units, 3 to 4 fewer units. So that adds up in terms of like, base skips just lowers your unit value. Just want to point it out again because it's important. So these recons are both a little bit passive. Did she see the anti-air ahead of time? Okay, she did. So interestingly, she decides to finish off this. Oh no, she gets trapped? Okay, well, yeah, another fog tip. I don't play that much fog, but I can tell you, check the replay. Just like, it's free info. It makes you win more. It's great. Okay, so this is actually like the perfect scenario for Lazuli. She has almost full info of what's happening in the game. She sees anti-air tank. She knows about the 2 artillery. She sees the tank. So that's like basically every vehicle accounted for. At least all the early vehicles accounted for. So she should be able to know, okay, that's where all the stuff is. There was an infantry that went over here. I could pop it if I want to. I guess not safely. But like, I think she should be able to figure out this tank is alone. And when you can figure that out, it means just like dive on everything. Recon hits it. Recon hits infantry. Tank hits tank. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of like the way I think about it in fog is figure out where their army is. They make a move like this and kind of like jab you by doing big damage on a recon. Then you counter punch in the area where they're weak, which is down here, which you can tell pretty clearly from counting units and sort of figuring out where everything should be. So yeah, good counter punch here, about as much as you can do. Not too much. Nothing else in range. So that's about as best you can do. But you could even follow up. Like if this stuff retreats, you could just like follow up and give everything another hit. while kind of retreating up top. Wait a minute. This recon is in a forest, and it got hit by the tank? It's a forest, right? What? Okay, that replay must be bugged. That's not supposed to happen. All right, that was kind of interesting. Okay, so that was LooseLazuli's turn, and then Zeromus decides to cheat. The fact that both of these recons survive is like really good. 1 HP recons are just amazing units. And it looks like Lazuli's gonna have some options here. This tank shot, I think, is safe if you back it up by this tank. And then this tank has the option of running down here and finishing this guy off. You have free shots on infantry, probably. Okay, I think I would have hit the tank from the woods so that this tank can move up, like I said. Okay, so yeah, you can see there's only been like a few engagements. Okay, this tank decides not to dive. That's okay. Yeah, I mean, that's fair enough. You don't really know exactly where stuff is anymore. Like, you could be getting yourself into trouble. I kind of like it though. Just to like finishing off a tank is kind of a good accomplishment, especially if it's at 4 HP. Okay, here's the Drake battleship. Looks like he saved. He full base skipped for it. And he actually needed to do that, I think. No, yeah. He pretty much had to full base skip for it. Hold on, how did I get that much money? Oh, he captured more cities. Got it. Got it. Okay, so yeah, he builds a battleship, but it's scouted immediately by Lazuli. Two battlecopters on the way. That's really great. Eagle battlecopters are great. They two hit KO really well. You can do battlecopter on tank, and then tank on tank, stuff like that. Zeromus pretty aggressive here, kind of like pretending that he has more stuff than he actually has. That's cool. Okay, the 1 HP recon finishes off the infantry, which must be infuriating. Yeah, so we'll see how Lazuli responds to the battleship here. I like that she moved the vehicles down south here, kind of out of range. I don't think this infantry needs to be in range. It just seems like a little bit far forward, but not the worst thing. And then as for a response, Lazuli decides to double down on battlecopters, which is totally fair. You can just like infinitely chip down the battleship and like drain funds. I think that's a fair way to do it. Does mean the battleship doesn't die immediately, so like you kind of have to give up some ground down here. Okay, so there's secretly a bit of stuff here. So Lazuli could mess up and kind of like lose a lot of material here if she's not careful. So we'll see how she handles that. Okay, looks like it's gonna hurt. Oh, there's an invisible infantry. Maybe that's what revealed the. Okay, actually, there's a tank trap as well. That kind of hurts. Okay, like a solid stream of beecopters, which is kind of cool. Are the beecopters what broke the pipe? Okay, so the beecopters broke the pipe. That's kind of interesting. Where were we? We were here. Okay, battleship decides to move, which don't quite understand that. Um, okay, so Lazuli didn't figure out that the artillery was there, so now she's kind of doubling down and getting hit by it again, which hurts. But she's cleared the vehicles, so that's really good. And then, very importantly as well, since the vehicles have been cleared, the battleship doesn't really see that much. Thanks to the infantry, it'll at least see this tank. So this tank is ultra dead. But other than that, I guess this 2 HP tank and this guy will retreat, and then there'll be like infantry shots. It won't be able to see this tank unless this guy goes way over here. Okay, here's the Typhoon. Also, yay, rain animations. Looks cool. Those were just put in very recently. Maybe like this week or something. I think they kind of broke the replay system a little bit, but it's working for me, so I'm not complaining. So yeah, here's the tsunami. Looks like the tsunami didn't involve like any immediate, 8 HP kills, but does a lot of nice stuff in terms of like weakening Eagle's army before lightning strike. So basically, just using it at all kind of makes it do its job. Eagle is very close to lightning strike though, and with this many beecopters around, it could be like absolutely disastrous. Although with both of these beecopter moves, he's so Lazuli, so she has basically like showed her hand that she has at least 3 beecopters, which is going to be a bit worrying for Zeromus. So that may like even a fighter could be an option, or certainly like anti-air. So okay, unit error. Yeah, actually transitioning really hard into beecopter is kind of interesting because Zeromus was just really not expecting that in terms of their own army comp. But yeah, yeah, I mean this is the right response. It's double anti-air build beecopter. Um and even then, a little bit of money left over. And I mean, I guess he could spend it on an APC if he's feeling frisky, but okay, here's the lightning strike. But I don't understand what what happened. Okay. Okay, so this is pre-lightning strike. And then okay, so I guess that Lazuli just never got vision of the battleship. So yeah, this is a pretty underwhelming lightning strike, I have to say. Um I think I would have saved it until you see the battleship and your bombers nearby, but I mean, this is probably going to be fine. Up 10 units at the end of your turn. Up, like about even on unit value. All these low fuel B-copters are a little bit disconcerting. If you guys didn't hear that, that was my mic decides to do weird things sometimes. And it's a little bit freaky, not gonna lie. Okay, yeah, there's the battleship. Everything's dying. This looks like a GG pretty soon, unless the game gets freakier. I think the main thing to look at here is Lazuli only has a bar and a half of charge, and Zeromus has like 5. So that's kind of the benefit that you have by supering first, is that as long as you don't immediately get counter supered, you get to have all that charge when they get to super into you. Okay, so there's a 7 HP battleship here and a bomber that like really wants to ruin its day. Now value wise, I mean, I think it's almost certainly a good idea to go for that shot, even if it means it gets hit by an anti-air. But if Lazuli scouts by like hitting it with the B-copter on top or something, then the B-copters could block for the bomber, and that would be pretty huge. Okay, never mind. Okay, bomber goes to the HQ. Totally reasonable thing to do. Totally reasonable. Um, yeah, and actually I like something Lazuli's doing here too, which is keeping an infantry on a city. Um, as she's expecting Typhoon next turn, so that way it heals up immediately and it's ready to HQ cap shortly. And there's a Typhoon. Okay, and then the battleship smells danger, so it runs down. It blocks everything. So now here's an interesting question. Do you decide to... Well, actually, you might be able to get Lightning Strike this turn. So, like, if the bomber hitting the battleship is a tremendous amount of charge, we'll see if Lightning Strike happens. But, you know, it could also not. Looks like probably not now. So yeah, the HQ cap is like a pretty good thing to do here. One thing that an HQ cap does that's like really nice is, you know, when it's kind of medium-sized army to medium-sized army, is like now your opponent has to waste a turn interrupting the HQ cap, which means it's usually a vehicle that's not doing vehicle things, it's doing hit infantry things. And also you sometimes have to like clear, like killing this 7 HP tank is kind of hard in general. So like you can't kill, so you might have to do 8 HP tank hit the 2 HP tank to clear. I don't know. Sometimes it just like messes with your flow. But instead, yeah, see the 8 HP tank hit the 2 HP tank instead of the 7 HP tank. So like there's some inefficiencies that kind of pop up because you have to, there's just more stuff to do when you're also defending against an HQ cap. Wait, where'd the bomber go? Where'd the bomber go? Did the bomber die? Oh no, here it's back again. Oh, now it's gone. Okay. Yeah, the bomber death is really unfortunate. But luckily, Lazuli thought ahead and built an extra bomber immediately. That's really good. Okay, the bomber goes north. Interesting. Okay, maybe just trying to wipe this top army. It's like a pretty reasonable thing to do. As for stats wise, Lazuli has actually been up in terms of income for quite a while. Rocking a 6K income advantage in standard was pretty awesome. Okay, so it looks like the HQ capture failed, but maybe Lazuli can clean up what's happening elsewhere and just kind of win somewhere else on the map. It's kind of what I'm expecting. I mean, it feels like their position is just better, although actually their unit count is not the best. Their unit value is not the best. Like the bomber kill kind of ruined the momentum there. So like a good thing to keep in mind when you're trying to end game in a situation like this. So like let's suppose that you think that you're even-ish on unit value, maybe like a little bit behind. Which Lazuli is by a small amount. Maybe it's about even. And so one thing you can think about when you just count the cities and you know that you're ahead in terms of income is you can just slow the game down. And that's kind of what Eagle likes in the first place. On average, you just like slow, controlled, you know, and then try to bait your opponent into charging you up your meter, and then you lightning strike and kind of end the game. Um, So I guess in this scenario, if you're up this far in income, you can just kind of lay back a little bit. Maybe try to gain a city here and there. Just don't be too risky with your army. Like don't look for big army fights. And then your income advantage will provide you with it'll like make you catch up in unit value if you're a little bit behind, or it'll get you ahead. Yeah, these small fights are all right, although this bomber is about to get absolutely smacked. Um, so this game might actually last a lot longer. Oh god. That's gonna be a long game. That's gonna be a really long game, I think. Okay, yeah, Lazuli now kind of hurting in a lot of aspects. So Lazuli's been kind of not in the best shape in terms of anti-air defense. Her only two anti-air her only two units that hit air are these two weakened beecopters. So it's not where you want to be. You could almost imagine Lazuli building a few black boats out here, maybe just one, and then like uh, resupplying and refueling her units as they come by, a little bit hurt by Drake's powers. It'd be an interesting idea to try out. Oh, so Lazuli actually bought an APC though, so that already kind of fixes the refueling issue. Oh, losing these units up here. I mean, the thing is, like, I don't think Lazuli's in a position where they're going to lose, but it just might be a lot longer before they're able to. Sorry, what cruiser? What's that doing here? Okay, so cruisers. Cruisers an interesting idea because it's like anti-air for sea, so you think it's good, but it just kind of dies to everything that flies. B copters hit it for crazy effective damage. I mean, no, it does like maybe 60 base damage or something. Um, but considering that a cruiser is worth twice a B copter, it's like a very good trade. And then bombers absolutely annihilate cruisers. Although it's a Drake cruiser, who knows? Maybe it does something. Oh, look, the bomber is like the shoals prevent the cruiser from hitting the bomber, so that turned out to be a really great move. Okay, so lightning strike is almost charged. Um, it might have been possible to charge it last turn if LooseLazuli went really crazy with it, which is something to think about. Oftentimes with Lightning Strike, you get a tremendous amount of power from using it early. Like if you're able to sack a few units to charge Lightning Strike, it's very often worth it, I find. So yeah, that's something to think about. Because actually, the excellent move by Zeromus here is like anticipating the Lightning Strike. They decide to CO power with Drake. Very very good move. You're sort of weakening the attack of the Lightning Strike. Um, yeah, I like honestly one of the best moves in the game, I'd say. It's not terribly intuitive too, because you normally want to do super CO power with Drake, but like finding these little moments where a CO power pops for like when you don't expect it, like and it works out. Those are all great moves. So props for that. So unfortunately, though, LooseLazuli is about to absolutely destroy these two naval units with this one bomber, thanks to Lightning Strike. And then looks like the bomber here is gonna kill a tank. And then this anti-air is pretty out of position, but it can hit this B-copter. So yeah, looks like this might actually be okay, or it can do that, I guess. Okay, so this was kind of a scary moment there with the infantry that hops on the HQ. Um, in moments like these, something that I occasionally mess up is when you're in fog and you're trying to capture someone's HQ. Sometimes it's better to just like not show your hand too much. Like if you plop down a 10 HP infantry on top of an HQ, everyone's freaking out, going like, "Oh my god, my HQ!" But if the infantry were like up here, the infantry were up here somewhere, even if he sees it with so even if she sees it with the recon, the infantry can just kind of like mosey on over slowly and start capping next turn, and it might not bait out quite as uh huge a response. So just kind of like a mind game thing that I think about sometimes. So here's a super. I think the big question is, I guess you can kill the battleship without you can put the B-copter right in this square, right here, and then the bomber is safe. I don't know, something to think about. Okay, that works too. Okay, and I think it's about GG because as long as LooseLazuli doesn't lose her two, full HP bombers to like accidentally dying to AA, I think she'll be fine. So as long as she's like kind of, is the next action resign? Next action is unknown. Okay, yeah, I think they probably resigned here, which is fair enough. Like their cruiser is doing nothing, and that's a lot of their value. Um, the HQ rush didn't work. There's a bomber over here that's completely uncontested. Yeah, it's looking pretty bad. So yeah, GG. Thanks LooseLazuli for showing us both of those replays. Um, that was fun. So yeah, I think maybe the main takeaway here, I think there was like a little, that's hard to say about some of this fog specific stuff. Yeah, I guess I'm not sure what the takeaway would be. Because I just pointed out small stuff along the way. Well, Advance Wars is cool. Yep, sure is. Okay. See you guys in the next one. Bye.